Hey everyone, I'm Matt Dolan with Dolan Divorce Lawyers in Connecticut. And today what I'm going to show you is how to draft a motion for contempt in a divorce or custody case. Now, a motion for contempt is basically, it's a motion that's filed with the court by one party against another party when the party filing the motion is claiming that the party receiving the motion violated a existing court order. So let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen to show you the relevant practice book section, which is Connecticut Practice Book section 25-27. The caption is motion for contempt. And it states that each motion for contempt must state 1, the date and specific language of the order of the judicial authority on which the motion is based, 2, the specific acts alleged to constitute the contempt of that order, including the amount of any arrears claimed due as of the date of the motion, if it's a motion for contempt for a failure to pay child support, for example, or alimony, or a date specifically identified in the motion. And then 3, the movant's claim for relief. You have to include the claimants or the movant's claims for relief for the contempt. So basically what you're asking the court to order, what relief you're seeking from the court. And then subsection B says that each motion for contempt must state clearly in the caption of the motion whether it is a pendente lite or a post-judgment motion. So a pendente lite motion is filed while a divorce is pending or while a custody action is pending. And post-judgment is filed after a divorce is finalized or after a custody action is finalized. And then you're also supposed to include the subject matter and the type of order alleged to have been violated in the caption. So let me show you some samples. I'm going to show you 2 samples. One is a pendente lite motion for contempt, which again is filed while a divorce is pending or custody action is pending. And then I'm going to show you a sample post-judgment motion. So let's start with the pendente lite. The sample I'm using is a motion for contempt for a violation of the automatic orders, which are the orders that go into effect when a divorce is pending. So as soon as somebody is served with divorce papers, if they're the defendant, or as soon as the plaintiff signs a complaint, if they're the plaintiff, there are automatic orders which are in place while the divorce is pending. So that's the example I used. A pendente lite contempt can also, aside from the violating the automatic orders, it can also be for violating a agreement that is entered into, a temporary agreement that is entered into while a divorce is pending. There might be a temporary order of child support or a temporary order of alimony or a temporary custody order that parties agree to while a divorce is pending. So that's another example of a pendente lite contempt, but this example I'm showing you is again a contempt for violating the automatic orders. So, it's the standard case caption. You'll put your case information at the top, and then you're going to put a motion for contempt of the automatic orders. And then again, you have to specify that it is a pendente lite contempt. So this just starts by saying the plaintiff respectfully requests that this court hold the defendant in contempt for violating the automatic orders. As grounds, therefore, the defendant states, then the plaintiff commenced an action for dissolution of marriage by summons and complaint dated, put the date of the summons and complaint, and then you put the return date in the second blank. Appended to the complaint were the automatic orders, which became effective as to the plaintiff on the date the complaint was signed, or for the, and whoever you're claiming, if you're the plaintiff filing the motion, then you're going to want to specify when they apply it to the defendant, which is on the date that the complaint was served. And if you're the defendant filing the contempt, you're going to want to include this first language. So I included both of these here. And then you have to then specify the specific language that was violated, the language of the orders that was violated. So this example says that Connecticut Practice Book section 25-5, automatic orders upon service of complaint or application, states the following. And then you're going to put the language of the existing court order that was violated. And then you have to put the actions that the violating party took to violate the order. So the example I used was somebody violating the automatic orders by disposing of or concealing property while a divorce is pending, or removing the property from the home. So I put on so-and-so a date, without notice and without the plaintiff's consent, the defendant removed the family television from the home. The defendant is refusing to disclose where she brought the television. Again, that's just an example. So then after you put the existing order that was violated, the behavior that led to the violation of the order, you then have to include the relief that you're seeking from the court. So, this is kind of the standard that you'll put that, the first claim for relief is that the defendant be found in contempt for violating the automatic orders. That in this example, somebody removing property, you want an order that they immediately return the property. We almost always put that we are seeking that the defendant pay the cost of bringing this motion, including a reasonable attorney's fee. If somebody's behind on child support or alimony, you might want to include an order, that you're seeking that the other party be incarcerated if they fail to comply with the order. And then we usually include the catch-all at the end, any further order that the court may deem fair and equitable, which leaves the door open to, some other more creative claims for relief. And then if it's a pendente lite motion, you don't have to serve the other party. So you just include the certificate of service, and you put the contact info for anybody who has an appearance in the case, so that you can arrange to, so that you can send them a copy. So that's it as far as a pendente lite motion. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be violating the automatic orders. There might be a specific temporary agreement in place. So if that's the case, then you're going to want, in this top section, you're going to want to cite the agreement, the date of the agreement, the date that it became a court order, and you're going to want to include the language of that agreement, which was violated by the other party. So let's move on to a post-judgment motion for contempt. And a post-judgment motion for contempt, it's not going to be for violating the automatic orders, because after a divorce is finalized, the automatic orders are no longer in place. So a post-judgment motion would be for violating a specific provision of the divorce agreement or divorce orders. So again, you're just going to put that, the plaintiff respectfully moves this court to issue an order holding the defendant in contempt for violating the terms of the divorce agreement and judgment dated so-and-so, and include the date. Oh, and just moving up to the caption, just make sure you include post-judgment when you in the caption. And then again, you're going to put the specific the date of the agreement and when it became a court order. You're going to want to include the language of the agreement that was violated. So the example I used here is that section 3.1 of the divorce agreement provides that the wife shall have exclusive use of the home beginning on so-and-so a date. And then the behavior that is a violation of the order is that the defendant has failed to move out of the home pursuant to the divorce agreement, which became a court order. So, he's beyond the date and he's still not out of the house. The defendant's conduct is failing to follow the court order is willful and intentional. Then again, you're going to include the relief that you're seeking. So the defendant be found in contempt for violating the order, that the defendant be ordered to immediately vacate the home, and then, paying the cost of bringing the motion, including a reasonable attorney's fee. And you might want some other financial penalty above and beyond that. In this instance, a quote unquote rental fee or something equivalent, based on the fact that the other party received a financial benefit by having a free place to stay, basically. And then again, the catch-all, any further order that the court may deem fair and equitable. And then on a post-judgment motion, the other party has to be served. So you put the order for hearing and notice, and you file the motion with the court. And the court will assign a date after which you have the other party served with the motion. So you first file it, get a court date, and then you have to serve the other party, which is different from a pendente lite motion. You just, you file it, you send the other side a copy. You don't have to arrange to have them served. So those are the basics on filing a motion for contempt, drafting a motion for contempt. So if you want to have copies of these documents, you can go to our website. It's dolanfamilylaw.com, and you can get copies of the documents, which you can work off of as templates to draft your own motion for contempt. All right, that's pretty much it. So if you have any other questions, feel free to give our office a call.